And welcome to part two. All right, so we've ended up here, which is quite nice and looks rather neat. I like all that, but we're going to start doing a few different things. I just want to zoom into the top a little. I want to get rid of these two connection lines between these components. So just hit delete because I want to introduce another component. I want to take the background music over with an audio player for this because then we'll learn how to interact with the audio player even more than we already have. And we're also going to start using some tags for connection points rather than these connection lines. In some instances here, there will still be connections here because it's a pain to do all these individually, and we don't need to down here. But up here, in some points, it will become necessary to do so. In fact, in all of these, it will become necessary to do so because we're going to put some things between everything here. Let's make these tags. So we're going to find this little point on the component, the access point, the output. We're going to click in it, and I'm going to hit the space bar, and this little dialog comes up. I'm going to call this channel BGM left and hit enter. There's little tags being created with a little broken jagged point, which means it's not connected to anything else. That's all that means. I'm going to make another one here, which is BGM right, which is fine. Over here on the mixer input, which is our BGM input, if I click in there and hit the spacebar, I can then double click and bring them up. If you notice, the jagged edge goes away. These are now connected. If I change the color of that to something, both of them change. See how they're slightly, I'll make it something a little more obvious, Sean. Still blue of some description. There we go. Now you'll see that they've changed together. They're a connection point. We can keep that color code if we like. The other thing that we might do while we have is put labels in these buttons because we will begin to build a UCI in this video. So let's just click in there, RF1, then click out. You don't need to hit enter. This is RF1 and 2. This is presentation 1. This is presentation 1 and 2. So we'll probably just need to change the font size there. This is the HDMI input. This is the PC/external input. This is the BGM preset. That's not the input, it's the preset. It opens up the inputs. And this, of course, is quiet or silence, whichever you prefer. Okay, so they're a little bit too big for that. Let's just change the font size to 8. Not quite. 7. Now we can see everything. All right, wonderful. This is a good start to what we need to do over here. And I'm going to get you to start looking at creating a UCI so we can start to connect some controls and get our users up. So we go down here to the left to user control interfaces, and we hit the plus, and user control interface begins to be what we call instance. Over here in panel type, the first job that we should do, which you all answered correctly in class, so we changed to iPad because that's what we will be using here to test our UCIs, is an iPad. So beautiful. This is a good start. What we can do, of course, is go back to page 1, grab these buttons and the LEDs. Don't drag and drop because you'll lose them off the design page if you do that. They'll migrate. Whereas if I copy and paste, I now have a copy of those controls. They still work, and they'll work in the design as well, but it's now a copy of them rather than the one instant. So I'm just going to make that bigger by grabbing that bottom right and dragging it, and roughly in the area I think I'm going to want my preset bank to end up. I'm going to do that. Okay, so that's sort of right. But the LEDs have all become horrendously huge balloon type objects, which I actually wanted LEDs. There's a very quick fix to that. I've selected them all. from left to right. So they've all got the little red thing around them. I'm going to go to size here. I happen to know that 16.16 is going to be quite acceptable as a size for the LEDs, and there they are. And they've stayed in their position relative to the buttons. The buttons, I can't read the text. That change that we made earlier has become untenable here. Because it's a copy now, this change I'm about to make is only to the selected ones. It won't affect the buttons on the design, which is great. So let's make these, I don't know, 16. Is that any good? Maybe 18. And of course, we can turn them to medium, which makes them just a little more standout, which is nice. I don't mind that. I'm also going to change the color of these buttons. Over here in the fill, I'm just going to pick some kind of nice, I like the purples, the orange. Sometimes I like purples. Try something a little different. So yeah, that's kind of okay. Good, but the buttons are a little big for my taste, so I'm going to just trim one up to the point where I like the size of it and yeah, how it looks. Be a little sleeker. So just going to kind of do that. I don't mind that as a button size. Maybe not. It's a little small. We are making a thing for our grubby hands. So that's a good size. Again, I'm just going to go to the size up here in the properties. I'm going to select it. I'm going to right click. I'm going to copy. Now I'm going to select all of these buttons. Go over into that size field again in properties, which is now the properties of the selected buttons. Paste, enter, and all of the buttons go to that size, which is nice. Let's put a graphic box around it. Group box, graphic box. Group box, that's fine. We could actually, while we're here, because why not? Make it a little bigger, because I would like to also put in here a header. Because headers can be quite nice. Here. And I'm going to double click in there and call this presets, which is, yes, let us make it bigger. Let's go to 16 for that. And let's also make that bold and perhaps a little bigger. There we go. Now we have a nice header for that section as well. Okay, good. Now they're a little high for me, so I'm just going to select them. We can use the arrows as well to move stuff around. I wasn't very clear about that earlier. Move arrows around to put stuff where you like the look of it. That's good. Don't forget we can also make our little guidelines now that we have a thing. We can put a guideline there. We can put a guideline there so that anything else we make on any subsequent page, or even on this page, we can line up with what's already there. Might be useful to put them in place as we are. Very good. All right, good. So this is starting to form our UCI. All these buttons will work if we emulate, just to prove a point. Thank you. Go to RF1, let's see what's happened. All right, that's good. What's happening with here? Oh, that looks right. What's happening with here? It's the correct one. Let's just double check that. Let's go to HDMI, random one. There it is, there it is. There it is, very good. Okay, wonderful. Let's stop emulating for a moment. And let's think about what else we might want on our UCI. In our presets, maybe we want to give our users, just tuck this in a smidge, we want to give our users, by the way, you can move the group box too, access to the mixer. Of course we do, because we want to change levels, right? So let's just grab all of the faders. I do like to select all of them individually. And I'll tell you why, if I do this across here, I'm actually grabbing this outline as well, which, I mean, you can do, but maybe we can. All right, let's do that. Let's just grab all of this here. Copy, might as well. You could drag and drop this as well and paste. Okay, now that we're here, that's good. We could get rid of that now, like so. That's fine. And of course, now we can. Why don't we, before we move, Let's make the mutes. Just the mute. Move down into that section there. Yeah. Okay. So why don't we put this down here? Kind of pull it out a little bit. So it's nice. In the center, that's pretty good. Why not? And now we can select our mixing box items. Now let's just select the faders. We can do that. Well, that's kind of good. Kind of good. All right, let's do it that way. We can, of course, then just have this lot and move them separately with the arrows if you'd like. That can kind of be nice to separate the microphones from everything else. We could then, of course, move this over here to even further. That's kind of nice. Let's move. These labels are a bit wonky for me. Just select the labels. And small one. Yes, good. Move the mutes down so they're a little further away from the faders. All right, great. So now we have the faders available to us as well, which means we should be able to control our mixer, which we can, I'm sure. Right, let's emulate. Right, let's try a scenario. I'm going to go to presentation 1 with the one mic and the PC external interface open. That's all beautiful. I'm going to set a level on that. Oh, it's a bit tricky to get exactly right, even with the mouse. Can't imagine what's going to be like on an iPad. But there you go. We've got those two down. I'm also going to just punch that mic up a little bit. Now I want to introduce the other microphone. We've got an audience question coming in. So I'm just going to quickly hit the preset. Oh. Okay, so my whatever content was playing in the room while I did that changeover has just boosted by quite a few dB. 9 dB actually, so that's quite a jump, and it's happened immediately too, which is a bit of a worry. And the mic that I boosted to get the quiet speaker out into the room has reset back to its original thing, and that's going to be problematic. Okay, so quickly come down here. That's good. All right, I can push that person up, and by the way, the audience. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so we're good now. All right, fabulous, and everyone, there's an audience, there's applause. That's fabulous. Okay, let's put on the movie. Oh, okay, that's all right. No, I meant the movie off my PC. Oops, now I'm back to 9 dB up. So this is really not going to work. The other thing I want to point out with the faders, let's just take them up here. You can look down here in the text box here of what happens to the dB reading. So I can go all the way down to minus 100 dB on this fader, which is, okay, there on 35. Yeah, it's kind of a bit, so that's almost minus 12 dB at that fader point. That's quite a substantial jump. There's minus 6-ish. There's minus 3-ish. But I can go plus 10 on this mixer, which that could be way too much. And the other thing is there's no balance, and the presets are resetting everything. So we've got a few problems already with our UCI and the operation of our mixer. So we're going to have to fix that. We can. It's actually quite easy to do. I'll wait here though before we think about how to do that. Just want to show you a couple of things with these faders. I'll just clear these out of the way so you can see what's going on. So I have to wipe those guys go back. I can just make them again. Don't need them. So our problem is back over here in the snapshot control mixer state. And it's that if we have a look on our snapshots, and we'll see in mixer state, that is the mixer 8x2 all controls. So every time I hit a preset button, which is now controlled by this, it's resetting everything in the mixer back to that save point. So unless I have to go through and redo all my presets with new levels in them and save them, and that's got to work for everybody, I don't think we can find that's the case. Although we can get closer to an original thing. And as we've seen, the levels on the faders are all wrong anyway. So we're going to have to do a few things. But let's fix this problem with the levels first. It's actually quite a simple fix. What we're going to do, I'm going to select that label there where it says mixer 8x2, which is defining the control state of this set of snapshots. And I'm just going to delete that. Now I have a set of snapshots that won't do anything because it's not connected to any component. Even though this still exists, it still holds memory there. This is now not controlling anything. Let me prove it to you by emulating. And now I actually can't load any of my presets, even though if it's document, they still exist. Very interesting. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm actually going to grab all of these mutes. This time I do actually have to select them. And I'm going to drop them over here onto the mixer state. Now, those inputs are all working. It's just the mutes. So let's see what happens. Okay. Excellent. Oh, very good. Remember, this corresponds exactly with what's happening over here, which it does, which is great. Right, so that's good. But I think you'll notice here my levels here have not changed. So I'm going to make these all 0. And while we're emulating, this is fantastic. All of the presets are still where they were, even though we deleted the content connection and emulated in the middle, it retained the mute states, which is all we actually wanted those presets to set up, right? There they go. And they're still working. They interact with that. But I can now actually put these at around -12. I can push that up there. But when I change the preset state of the room, those levels now remain. That means we still have control over the levels independent of the preset state. So these are just mute presets, which we're not going to call them mute. That doesn't matter for our user, but we understand that they're just the mute presets now. All right, fabulous. I will see you again when we start to figure out how to now make these faders be a little bit more nice. The other thing, oh yes, before we go, I just want to show you a couple of customization things. Let's disconnect for a second about the faders while we're in this video. Sorry, I've backed out too early. This little text readout down the bottom, I can get rid of that if I want to. I can go show text box up here in properties and hit no, and that goes away and I've just got the fader. This can be really elegant and you don't necessarily need a readout. But if you do want to have a readout, you can have yes. You can also change the text box height. If you put 22 in, the numbers become readable on a UCI, which is really rather good. Okay, the other thing that we can do with the faders is there's different presentations for the fader. Even though it's a fader, yeah, that's good. There's the fader style down here, which I can have round. So my faders become round points, which is kind of interesting. I can have square, which could work in some designs. It could be a thing you would want to do. In the right spot. I can do a tick, which is that again in the right thing and on its side might actually be what you want. Let's go back to classic for a moment, and then I want to go into this custom. because you can actually change a few things here. Like you can individually get into the cap height. So if I go make that 0.6, just watch the fader caps there. They get a little bit bigger, but they retain that shape. But if I don't like the shape, I can go into cap radius and like put 0.4. And you'll notice how the faders sort of go ovaltine rather than specifically round. That can be nice. You can do the slot width at, 0.2. Now the faders are sitting on a more sort of flat thing. You can do a slot radius up the top. So there's just other ways you could do it. And of course you can change the fill color if you like, which I like to do as well. So there's just a couple of ways to customize the look of the faders on the UCI as well. So we're going to come back to the next video and we're going to learn how to get into custom controls to control the gains of these individual tracks. Thanks for watching. See you soon.